Okay, we're back. Hope everyone survived the snow okay. And back to normal here. So we're going to start out with kind of problem that gives a lot of people problems here. A word problem. It's a word problem with a lot of variables in it. So let's see what it says. It says a ticket to the school dance costs Y dollars. And the profit from the sale of all the tickets is Z dollars. The expenses for the dance totaled X dollars. And from that, we're supposed to figure out which of the following expressions represents the number of tickets sold. So let's just get right into this. This was the last question in a given section. So, obviously it's hard. I think a lot of people are going to look at it, they're going to look at the answers, and it's just either going to be a skip or maybe just a random guess. When you think, the problem is I think that most kids are not going to think in terms of variables. So, a very easy way around this is let's just make up our own example. And I think when you see it with numbers, it just makes the question that much easier. People will try to tangle with the algebra, and when you try to do that, in a 1 minute or 2 minute time period, I think the chances for success are just going to be pretty low. So let's see. I don't know, let's say you go to a school dance and it costs Y dollars. We'll just say the dance costs 10. And I'm just making up random numbers. It doesn't even have to really be realistic. But we just want to get some numbers in there. And let's say the profit from the sale of all the tickets, so you go up and you buy your prom ticket or whatever dance it is, and it costs you $10. And the profit that they make from selling all these tickets is Z. We'll just say the school makes $200. They make $200. That's their profit, right? And the expenses for the dance totaled X dollars. So, I don't know. How much money does it take to put on a dance? I have not a clue. I'm just going to make up a number. Let's just say it costs $500. And which represents the number of tickets sold. Now remember, this is a little tricky. The profit. So you just have to, we have to know what the profit means. And they did not tell it to you here. So this has some real world application. The profit is just going to be all the money that you bring in, right? It's going to be your revenue. And that's going to subtract, your expenses. So whatever you spend gets taken away from how much you raise, and that's what your profit is. So in this case, if the profit is Z, if the profit is $200, right, well, what's the revenue? The revenue is going to be what? It's going to be the number of tickets that we sell times the cost of the ticket, right? So if we sold, 20 tickets for $10 each, our revenue would just be 20 times 10 or $200. Now the issue is we don't know how many tickets we're going to sell, so we'll just call that T. But every time I sell a ticket, we're going to bring in $10, right? So our revenue is just going to be $10 per ticket, and T is the number of tickets we sell. And our expenses, well, it's going to cost us $500 to put this dance on. Alright, so let's clean this up and let's solve for T. And that should tell us how many tickets we're going to sell. This is pretty easy, right? We just add the 500. We'll get 700 is 10T. So we divide by 10. And it looks like we sold 70 tickets. So given all these scenarios, we sold 70 tickets. Well, you could say, what does that do for us? But now what we have to do is we have to take these numbers, plug them back in. The one that gives us 70 should be the correct answer. So we should be able to see it fairly quickly. Let's look at A. 500 minus 10, right? That's what, 490 divided by 200. That is not going to be 70, so we can cross that out. Let's look at the second one. Z is 200 minus X. That's a negative number. That's not going to make much sense. Z minus Y, so 200 minus 10, that's 190 divided, no, that's not going to do it. Of course, it's probably at the end, but let's see. X plus Y, so 500 plus 10 is what? 510 divided by Z is 200. That is not 70. It better be the last one, or we got some problems here. Let's see. X is 500, Z is 200, that's 700 divided by 10, bingo. That's 70. So it's that one. And a good lesson to be learned, because the argument here is that, that's going to take too long by the time I check them. Yeah, there's no doubt that sometimes this is going to take a little bit of time. but then I would say, well, okay, if you can do it in 30 seconds or a minute algebraically, go crazy, but I just don't think many people can do that. And the second thing I would take away, especially on an SAT, is believe me, they know that somebody is probably going to try this. They're trying to put some numbers in there. This one, it just happens to work, but I think you do always try to do the opposite of what most people will do. Most people would probably start at A and work their way down like we did. It's a pretty good example. I would always start with E and work my way back up. It's not always going to be E. As some kids know, I do like E on the SAT for hard ones, especially when you can get numbers in there. It would have worked nicely here, but I think if you always get in the habit of trying to do the opposite of what most kids will do on hard questions, the odds will increase that you're going to get it correct. So after all that, it's just E.